Jerel and Karice Crew, and you are CEOs and founders of That Gun Talk LLC and That Gun Talk Gun Club. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
having
much.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I know you've been very active in the community and you've trained a lot of people. Why is that important? Why do people? Let me ask you this. I mean, is Philadelphia is supposed to be this city of brotherly love, so that means that there's no crime there and everyone gets along, and you don't need to use firearms. Is that correct?
Um, I'm going to take this one. Absolutely not correct. You would think this is the city of brotherly love. Yes, it is. But are we seeing that? No, we are not. Do people need to arm themselves to protect themselves? Is it their right? Yes, it is. Will we be there to help train them to get them over that hump? Yes, we will.
Mhm.
It's funny you say that because I'm originally from Texas. And when I moved here, I was like, I'm moving to the city of brotherly love. And
Right.
luckily, I had, my dad who was in the firearms, but my husband here, he actually really opened the door to help me understand why it was necessary, particularly after I got robbed.
Oh, you got robbed. Really?
5 feet
Okay.
from the police station. And luckily, my husband, after that, he was just like, no, you're gonna carry every day. So
Wow. Wow.
thanks to him,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that was probably a painful awakening moment.
it was.
Yeah. Well, I believe the people of Philadelphia have elected for Attorney General Larry Krasner, and I'm sure he said he was going to make the city safer. So, is the city safer since he was elected, or what do you think?
I
Go
I
ahead.
don't I really don't think so. Just the other day, I actually just had a girlfriend send me a video of something very disturbing that happened in our city, in Center City, right in front of City Hall, where there were a bunch of like tyrants running through the street, having cars spinning around, jumping on top of police cars, uh, setting off fireworks, and police were running around like they didn't know what to do. I've never seen anything like this in Philadelphia, and we've lived in the city. I've never seen anything so chaotic. And just, I mean, hearing gunshots. I mean, if he's the attorney general, what is he doing?
District Attorney.
District attorney, I'm sorry. Yeah, district attorney. Thank you. If he's the district attorney, I really don't know how our city is safer because when I first moved here years ago, it seemed like it was a lot safer. Now, I really worry when I'm out here in the streets. I really worry when I'm driving around. I worry when I'm going to particular areas or stores. I don't know if it's safer.
And
So, I mean, you said that there were what teenagers jumping on top of the police cars?
Well, they had masks on, so you don't even know who they were. They
Okay.
had they had costumes, masks. I mean, jumping on police cars. Just it was wild.
Wow.
it's like a city of lawlessness right now. And the
Right.
police, it seems like the police hands are tied. They're afraid to do their job in fear of something happening to them, uh, whether their benefits get taken away, they get fired, or,
Right.
just the appropriate people not being on their side. So their hands are tied. They're afraid to do what they actually should do. But this is what you get in a city right now, like Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess Mr. Krasner believes that criminals should not be for what he would consider to be like low-level crimes, should not be really prosecuted that much. So he's not backing up the police to do that.
Right,
So
right.
the police say, well, why should I bother? Because they're just going to let this criminal out, this person out, right?
It's unfortunate you tied their hands from doing their actual job. I mean, I understand them as police officers. If nobody's going to have my back, I would feel the same way, you know.
Right, right. Okay, well, that's where your work comes in. Do you find that the people that you know are they afraid of gun? Are they resistant to learning about guns? Or I mean, a lot of people you know, I mean, when I grew up in my home, we didn't have guns in our house, and I didn't think that we needed to do that. And we thought the police are here to, you know, to protect us if we need help. A lot of people think that way, right? So,
Mhm.
what do you see a change or in people's thinking about that?
Yeah, actually, there is a big change that we're seeing. People coming in for training who once were afraid, but realized that, hey, the police are not going to get there in time.
Right,
And we have a right to protect and defend ourselves. I mean, the majority of people, I mean, of all people that thus far that have come by through our training, just want to simply be able to protect themselves. They're not out here creating this lawlessness and doing crazy things out on the street. They're not doing these things. You know,
right.
they're law-abiding, responsible citizens, armed citizens who want to learn and be better.
This is true.
Yeah, well, and then what about women? Are women interested in being trained?
Definitely. Women are coming in droves. It's absolutely beautiful. They really want to learn how to be responsible gun owners. They want to learn how to store properly. They want to learn how to utilize and arm themselves properly just in case a break-in. We've had multiple women come in with stories that are heartbreaking,
Mhm.
but they have taken their power back and turning that fear into fiercelessness and power and just helping themselves to be strong and fearless to protect
Right.
themselves
Well,
and their children.
yeah, I mean, I imagine it gives you a little bit more confidence to know that if you need to protect yourself, you're not helpless, right? You have a way to defend yourself and your family both. Let me show people your website, and then I would like to ask you about the trainings that you've done. Uh, so tell us about your training.
Okay, well, what we do is we really want to educate people. Um, we start out with a basic handgun course, but we really take a holistic approach because many people come in at different levels. And a lot of people come in at the basic. We've had basic NRA courses, we have basic USCCA courses. We've also partnered with the NSSF to make sure that wherever a person is, we're able to meet their needs, but we definitely start them out at basic. Originally, we were doing like concealed carry, but we really said, hey, people just need to basically learn the fundamentals and understand what different types of ammunition go in different types of firearms. It was, people had firearms, but they needed to know these very basics. They needed to learn how to store their firearms properly. And then we take them out to the range. So it's been phenomenal and it's been extremely beautiful. And we also have even offered classes for free to
Mm.
the community so that we can make sure that not only people that have the money to afford training, but those that can't afford it, we're offering it in Philadelphia. We've hosted hundreds of classes for free for people who want to learn and who want to understand and talk about responsible gun ownership and understand responsible gun ownership. Jerel does a lot of private classes. We have a lot of instructors now. He's actually a TC counselor. And he became a TC counselor because he wanted other instructors here in the city to be able to educate and train our community here in Philadelphia.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. What kind of counselor is that?
He's a training counselor. So what he does, he
Right,
is at the
right.
he was one of, was it 800?
Something like
It
that.
was a large amount of people that got into the USCCA training counselors course. So it
Mm.
was really exciting and exhilarating because we didn't have anyone here in Philadelphia at the time he became an instructor. So we had to drive 3 to 4 hours away just for him to become a instructor. So from there, he became a TC counselor so that he could help people here in Philadelphia become educated and trained. And I think he's trained over 20 to 30 people here in Philadelphia to educate and train our community here.
Wow. Wow.
It's a beautiful thing when you can teach responsible people who care about their
Right.
community, who care about
Right.
safety to become instructors themselves. So I'm able to certify them to become instructors as well, and to continue the message and to carry it on out into the community.
Yeah, he's even trained me. Now
Wow.
I'm trained through the USDA, NRA. We've partnered with people. We've given out grants for people to be NRA instructors through
Right.
program. And he's also a NAGA instructor.
The National African
Okay.
American Gun Association. Yep.
So your message to women is it's okay to be beautiful and dangerous, right?
Absolutely. Responsible, beautiful, and dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now what are do you have a good relationship with the police department? Are they supportive of your work? And
Yeah, we have a great relationship with the police department. We don't have any issues with our police department, because they understand that we are just simply trying to make the community safer, period.
Yeah, and they actually
right.
invite us out every year. They have a community program every year where they're giving back to the community. So they have invited us out every year, and we've gone to it to set up a booth and teach people about responsible gun ownership. So thanks to the sheriff office, we've been out there
Right.
educating.
Yeah, Sheriff
Yeah.
Bilal, thanks to her, yes.
I mean, the whole premise of, for instance, gun control, there's one political party that in particular that believes that citizens cannot be trusted with self-defense, pistols and guns, and that they make the community safer if they make those those weapons illegal. But I guess the criminals don't really care what the law. I don't know what their logic is.
But
All gun laws, the only thing that they do is they hinder or they affect the law-abiding citizen.
Right.
That's all they do. The criminal does not even care about what you put out. It only affects us that's doing the right thing, that's being responsible.
yeah, but guess what? Guess what they say? If they come into your house, they're gonna shoot you.
Oh, that's what they tell you. Okay.
Look, we heard our very own running for president. She said if anybody comes in her house, she's got
Oh,
something, she's gonna shoot you.
oh, okay. Well, she's allowed to do that, I guess. Okay.
She's got the protection.
Right.
Person running for
Right.
president.
I see. You can't tell the person breaking in, oh, hold on a second. I've been assured that the police are going to protect me, so you have to wait.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, do you find that the people that are they rethinking the way they vote? I'm curious about that too, in
Yeah,
terms of which.
people are watching, people are starting to pay attention, and people are rethinking the way that they vote, based
Mhm.
upon what they are experiencing, based upon facts,
Mm.
uh, is why people are starting to reconsider, rethink their votes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's true because look, I mean, I have to give credit well, I did watch part of the Democrat National convention, and they're talking about joy and
Mhm,
loving everybody, and it was
mhm,
like a pep rally, and I thought, wow, this sounds like fun.
mhm,
No details, of course, but they're good at. I think they're pretty good at the rhetoric, the nice sounding rhetoric, but the reality is. Let me ask you this: what about the school system in Philadelphia? I mean, I'm just curious how are the young people being educated?
mhm.
Uh, what are your views about that?
I'll let my wife speak. She's a former teacher.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did work in the Philadelphia school district. Um, and and when you're saying how the children are being taught, are you saying educational wise or like preparation for anything to happen in the school? What are your thoughts behind this?
Well, I mean, but two things. One is in the basics of reading, writing, math, those kinds of skills, knowledge about history, uh, being taught about America's history, good and bad.
Mhm.
Just are they being, taught about civics and being a responsible citizen, those kinds of things.
Um, that's a really great question. So I have been a history, English, and a science teacher. And what I can tell you, in my experience, we have a strict curriculum that we had to kind of, depending on what school I worked at, you kind of have to follow a curriculum that's given to you. And it's a very tight curriculum. You don't really have a lot of time. And honestly, when you're teaching them to only pass the test right now.
Oh, really? Mm,
Unfortunately, when you're teaching students to just pass certain standardized testing, or they're on programs like such as iReady for multiple hours within the day, I don't think that they're learning what they should be
right,
learning, because a lot of our students, unfortunately, aren't passing those tests. Some of them are, pretty smart in the classroom, but I think it goes beyond the classroom. I think that
right,
parents have to understand that it goes beyond the classroom. It's not just the teachers having to teach, because all we're doing is implementing a curriculum where I had up to 30 students in my classroom with no teacher assistant. I'm having to grade
wow,
papers. I'm having to, not only am I teaching science and history, but now all of a sudden, because we have a teacher shortage, now I'm teaching math, which is not my specialty. Now I'm teaching other things that are not a part of what I should be teaching.
right,
So I don't think that the children are getting the education or support that they need in the classrooms, because the teachers aren't. And it trickles
right,
down. It's not the teachers. We want to be here for the students. We have a passion. We're there to teach, because guess what? We don't make a lot of money.
right,
There because we love those students. But it starts at
right,
the top. And if the top doesn't understand, the teachers need support. And because the parents are expecting the teachers to teach.
right,
They're not coming into the classroom. We're not getting a lot of parental support. And the funding, I mean, Philadelphia school districts, I mean, if you live in a certain district, you're getting funded. I mean, yes, we
right,
have laptops. I will tell you, I've had students in the 5th grade that can't write. I've had
right,
students that cannot read. And the
wow,
only way that I know this, if I'm able to do one-on-ones with those students. And guess
right,
what? I have 30 students in my classroom. How often do you think I'm going to get to do a one-on-one when I'm teaching the
wow,
curriculum?
right,
Yeah, and I have no TA. We definitely need more money to go towards the schools. We need more support from community to be
right,
strong and to be able to help our future, because that's our future. If we're not invested in them, what are we doing?
right. That's true.
I'm really
Now,
passionate about this.
what is your opinion about school choice? I'm curious. I mean,
That school choice, that parents should be able to choose.
yeah, whatever, have more freedom to choose which school to send their child to. What do you
Oh,
think about that?
yes. I mean, I think only because if you live in a certain district, guess what? That school doesn't have the funding. I've been in schools where we've had asbestos issues, where we don't have
Mm,
windows. So I felt like I was in a jail cell.
wow,
I was really I It was depressing for me to go there every day. Where children are dealing with so many issues, where I had a child one time ready to hang himself at school. I've seen so much in the Philadelphia
wow,
school district. I'm like, we need more therapists. We just need more to support our children. Like,
right,
these schools, I mean, I've seen mice droppings. I've seen the school lunches, I've seen mold on it. So
mm,
when they really like funding, where is this
mm,
money going? Now, I would not have my child going to a Philadelphia school district at all. I would send my
mm,
child somewhere else
right,
where they had
right,
more funding, where they had more support, where the
right,
administration was more supportive, and it trickled down to the teachers, where we had teacher assistants, so that
right,
those children could actually learn and be educated, and where the parents actually were able to be more involved, because they weren't working 2 and 3 and 4 jobs to support their families. But I
wow,
chose to work in the Philadelphia school district, because I'm saying, hey, they need me.
right, right,
They needed me, but we need help as teachers, which is
yeah.
why, again, I kind of had to step away, because it's very tough.
Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of teachers are burned out. It is very stressful, and it's being a good teacher is not easy. I know that.
You're
Yes.
up 24 hours. He would be here and I'd be grading papers at 11, 12 at night, still writing lesson plans, wake up in the morning. It was like clockwork.
Wow.
And the weekends
Wow.
were filled with being a teacher.
Wow.
hmm And
Okay.
running
Well, I
our business,
mean,
of course.
yeah, yeah, there's so much we need to fix. And then I think that the economy has been kind of suffering for a few years now, so that puts more stress on people.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to give any advice to voters in Philadelphia, like what advice would you give to them? Or
Um,
just anywhere in Pennsylvania?
My advice that I would give to voters in Philadelphia, you really have to be informed, well informed. You really have to do your research, and you really have to check the facts about each candidate that you're going to be voting
Right,
for, right?
right,
You just can't listen to social media or things of that nature. You really got to fact check
right,
and get the truth about what's actually going on. You know,
right,
we're a two-way organization. That's what we are, you know.
right,
So our message is pay attention. Don't get duped by false advertisements and things of that nature. Really know what's going on. Get the facts about your candidate and move from there. I mean, for myself, I look at where we are today.
right,
What administration are we under right now?
right,
Do we want different or we want the same? That's all I'm saying.
yeah, and family
right,
fundamentals. I think our family structure has definitely needs support as well. Like who who's supporting our families? Who wants to get
right,
back to that core? Because that's when I work as a teacher, that's what I'm missing. We need those core values that we had in our past. Those fundamental core values of family first.
Well, I mean, I, I mean, there's a whole area here where people are saying the traditional family is oppressive and patriarchal and uh, I mean, there's a negative view being taught, right, about marriage. And, I mean, I've been involved with a nonprofit, we in New Jersey, mostly we go into schools and we talk about marriage. We talk about saving sex for marriage. We're very blunt, just telling them that, this is something that'd be beneficial to you. You'll be able to enjoy it later when you're more mature and with someone who actually cares about you.
Yes.
And we find the young people very receptive to that. But unfortunately, it's interesting because the health teachers, they, I don't think some of them, many of them don't teach what we teach, but when they hear how we discuss it, they really kind of like the vast majority say, yeah, that we can talk about that. I think they've been taught that you shouldn't, you're being biased if you advocate that as something that is good, right? They have this ideology that we should not be judgmental. And in our program, we're not judging anybody. We're saying this is something good that will be beneficial to you, right? So, but anyway, there's this sort of anti-family ideology going on, which is pretty sad. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't understand where we are right now as a country.
yeah,
This is it's disheartening, it's saddening to
right.
see what our country is becoming. Uh, it almost makes you want to try to leave to go someplace else.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just it's a place I don't recognize anymore.
right. Well, I think there are a lot of countries around the world that want to take America down, and for their own reasons, right? I mean, it's hard to believe that that's the way people think, because you think, wow, America's been prosperous and been, has had freedom, and want to become more like us instead of trying to, and there are people, of course, inside our country who also they they look at America as something wrong, evil or racist. What is your perspective on that? I'm just curious. There are a lot of groups that say there's systemic racism, and what is your perspective about that issue?
Growing up as an African American, I have seen certain things in my life. You know,
Right.
I can't, but in life, you live and you learn. Um, I've seen unfair treatment. I've seen fair treatment.
Mhm.
And it's just across the board. People you meet different people. So
Right.
pretty much what I'm trying to say is that you can't group all people together as one because all people are not the same.
Right.
I have friends from various different backgrounds and various different cultures. But I can't say that all are bad because of what a few have done.
Right.
I mean, I've have a lot of great friends from all different kind of cultures.
Right. Right.
So, my thing is, let's try to find a way we can work together. Have we had
Right.
racist problems in the past? Yes, we have. They were there.
Right.
But we're trying to build bridges and work over those things now.
Right.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
the forgiveness. I think there's like since how this country was like really founded, um,
Mm.
our country worked so hard to fight for rights. Our country
Right.
worked so hard to, you know, uh, human rights, gay rights, rights for abortion. So I think that, and there's a lot of forgiveness that needs to take place here in this country. When you talk
Mhm.
about systemic racism, when you talk about that, there's a lot of forgiveness that needs to happen. There's a lot of apologies and things that need to kind of be put in place because, like he said, we as African Americans, we have seen uh, it a vastly difference, but I think it goes deeper than our personal relationships. I think it's, hey, when you look in communities and you see, oh, this community over here, they have lack of funding. Um, so why is that? They don't have jobs. You can have a whole uh MBA. And when you think about like the finances, a person over here is making this amount of money, but you have the same degree, same education, and you're making not as much money. So I think it has to, it's deeper than, oh, a racist issue because we don't have any issues because we have friends from every background. Right now
Right.
we don't really see that, but I do see it like in the school districts. I can go to one district that
Mm.
is, a different race. Then I can go into a school district where I'm seeing all, African American kids, or I can see all white kids. They're in a district, but their funding is different. Their parents have different jobs. Their mothers may be
Mm.
at home. Now I go into an African American school district, uh, no father. Mom is, not working.
Right.
So I'm like, where is that coming from? What is
Right.
that because of what's happened time after time after time again? I think our community, there's a lot of healing that needs to take place, a lot of therapy that
Right.
needs to take place. Are they putting funding into that? And
Right.
even when you see black on black young men crime, like why do they feel like they want to hurt each other? Is it,
Mm.
when you read books or when you hear historians talk about it, they say it's because of the racial issues that they've dealt with many, many years ago when this country was founded. It's still trickling over till today. How do we solve that? Or why aren't we talking about that? So, I can go on and on about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I read Thomas Sowell's written about some of these issues, and he says after slavery in America, the marriage rate was actually very high among Black Americans.
Mhm,
They wanted to be married. They
mhm.
they were not. They were very poor. It was a very difficult time, but they were married, and they
Yes.
wanted, that was important to them. And anyway, just I feel like sometimes I think people, someone comes to you and says, we're here to help you," and then you realize they're not here to help you. They're using different groups. And I mean, I'll give you one example. If you look at the transgender issue, for instance, there are lesbians who are very active in the gay rights movement, and they felt, the leftists are more supportive of that, and they thought, okay, well, okay, they'll support our rights, and then they find out that with the transgender issue, they're putting men, rapists, into women's prisons because these rapists say that, well, I identify as a woman. And so they're putting men into women's prisons, which is insane, of course. And then give you another example. There have been, I've been researching about this. So these lesbian speakers have been disinvited from women's conferences because they do not agree with the men identifying as women, but they've been disinvited, and then biological men who put on makeup and wear dresses, they're allowed to speak at those conferences. I mean, it is insane. It is totally insane. And they just, everything is upside down.
It is funny you say that. We were at one of our friends' house who is a retired police officer. She was actually telling us how the transgender men were going into restrooms now because they're going as women and they're raping young girls.
Wow.
Raping young girls. So again, like you said, they're wolves in sheep clothing.
That's right. Well, that's why we need to have the message of self-defense. And that's why I do recommend that people go to thatguntalk.com and check out the great information. And do you take donations, or can people support you? Or
Yes, when they support us, they can go up to the right-hand side. It does say donations. And that actually goes back to our community training programs where we're able to educate more people for free and have more free classes in the community and get our instructors out here training.
Okay, well, there it is.
Port 2A.
Yeah, I want to thank you for your work. I mean, I know that it takes a lot of courage to I'm sure when you first started out, I mean, this is very new, right? No, I don't think anyone else was doing this in Philadelphia, and it took courage on your part. So I admire. I mean, I'm just curious, what motivated you in the beginning? I mean, to start all this before we go. I'm just curious.
Well, I'm going to give credit to, of course, to Karice, because she's the one that saw in me the vision to go out and help the community. She's the one that sent me to instructors training to get my certification. It took off from there. And I also like to give credit to my parents who are deceased, but I grew up with both of my parents in the home. And, that set me on a course to be somebody in this world. I had both parents in the home to guide me through that process. So, when me and Karice connected and got together, and she saw that value in me, I saw the value in her, because she's definitely stronger in running this organization than I am. I just do what she says. But it's an amazing journey. I'm glad we got started in it. I see now that it was definitely God-driven, and that the people actually needed us to be in this place. And I'm glad to be in this place to serve the people.
Yeah, we're here to serve. We're servants.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people in Philadelphia whose lives you have really influenced, and like becoming more confident to, even to, you know, that confidence just to, I can defend myself, that is a big change in thinking. And we're going to see you at the Rod of Iron Freedom Festival, I think, in a few weeks.
Well,
So
thank you.
Absolutely.
yeah.
We're
All
excited.
right. Well,
It was so fun. We had a
well,
blast.
thank you for coming on the show, and